Yeah, the stream is
Yes,
live.
we are live. Yes.
It took a moment.
Yes, and we're talking about fish.
Yeah. The invention of nets. And who first went fishing for sardines? We got lots of interesting things happening here. Have there ever been any fishing comics?
Fishing in comics?
I I remember, I think it was in Kamui. In one of the, I haven't read it in so long. In the 80s, when I think, was it First Comics was publishing the Kamui and individual issues from Japan?
May have been, yeah.
I think there may have been a fishing sequence in that. I'm going to have to look that up now.
Yeah, because in Submariner and Aquaman, you didn't have fishing.
No.
There was some fish running around, especially
Sometimes
sharks.
the fish were, killing people, but the people weren't killing fish. And with Submariner, he was attacking the surface world with monsters. I wonder if any of those monsters were like what is the scientific classification of the monsters in the Submariner comic?
Especially because they seemed to be one of a kind, like they were mutants.
Yeah, and they would walk out of the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like they were swimming.
Yeah, there was that big whale that used to run around with, and as soon as it reached shore, you could see that it had paws where their front flippers should be. Now that's not necessarily a problem because dolphins, they still have fingers inside the flipper.
Uh-huh.
So all you need to do is lose the skin, and you have fingers again. But they're not very useful.
The scientific classification of Jack Kirby monsters. The land monsters are easy.
Yeah.
Fin Fang Foom, some kind of reptile, maybe a dinosaur. Who knows? Though he's actually an alien, right? Didn't we?
Yeah. Most of them were.
Yeah.
Googam, son of Goom.
Gamdula. He was the mummy one,
yeah.
I think.
Yeah. Grotu was the giant ant.
Ah, okay.
Grotu, king of the insects.
King of the insects.
I think most insects wouldn't care what an ant would think. Ants are pretty pedestrian. All other insects eat
you
ants.
think an exotic insect should be king of the insects.
Mm-hmm.
Good evening,
Kit Tell us about your favorite insect. Jim Cotta was on TV yesterday. Here.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Did you get to watch some of it?
Yeah, and you know what? I was watching Jim Cotta and I was listening to a Matter Rock video at the same time about the Marvel value stamps, and I fell asleep to both. Man, here's the thing. I was okay. How does this rack up against American Ninja? Because American Ninja is not a good movie.
I don't remember American Ninja, but I remember Jim Cotta.
Okay. So American Ninja is the one where Michael Dudikoff is a screw up in the army, doesn't remember who he was, and Trevor Ochmonick from Elf is his annoying sergeant. And then Michael Dudikoff gets into a fight with another sergeant martial artist from the army, and they have to find ninjas who are working for the bad guys who are trying to take over something in an island. So anti-American sentiment running around? Is there?
Which one is that from?
Maybe
American Ninja or Jim Cotta? Could be either one.
Yeah. But the thing about American Ninja is that it's one of those movies that's so bad it's good. I've been wondering if Stephen James was the American Ninja. No. It had to be somebody like Michael Dudikoff, because and Tit Goblin says his favorite insect is
cicada is his favorite insect.
Oh, and there he is. Wilson is trying to connect. The line's from
That's
Jim Carter.
from Jim Carter. Okay.
Is it? Well, I probably fell asleep when they were saying it.
Yep. Hello there,
Wilson.
Hello. Finally got on. I had to restart the whole computer.
This week we're on air.
Yeah, I saw Jim Carter.
Okay.
I don't know why. Here's the thing. American Ninja, at least has some good choreographed fight scenes. Jim Carter doesn't.
Oh, come on. It's got choreographed pommel horse fights.
You know how hard it is to find a natural area in the urban that you could stand and do a horse kicks on?
Spin all around and take out the bad guys? I mean, a pommel horse is stationary.
Yeah. So to be able to find something like that out in the wild, was amazing.
The best of the canon ninja film is Revenge of the Ninja, with Ninja 3 nomination is the craziest one. Yeah, I think Revenge of the Ninja it's probably the best one out of those.
I think I may have gone to the movie theaters to watch Jim Carter.
No, I fell asleep watching that. But it wasn't even the fight scenes or the premise or the weird nation beyond the mountains where they end up. Even though in 1985 they still don't have any guns, but they're still independent. No, what got to me was they are recording a scene in Motovun, Yugoslavia, and the gymnast guy is being chased by the bad guys in a 1961 Pontiac Venture.
Of course, the cars are what bothered him.
How the hell does a Pontiac Venture fit inside a narrow European street from the Middle Ages?
It just did. I mean, there was nothing wrong with that film. Now, you have to remember, I saw it in theaters in 1985, and I was 14 years old, and I don't think I've revisited it ever since. So to my 14-year-old mind, that was a perfect movie, and there was nothing wrong with it.
And you couldn't tell the Pontiac Venture from the Pontiac Tempest?
No, not at that time. No, not at that time, not at this time, and probably not ever, because I do not know the various different species cars are.
Well, that thing was recorded.
Car in the movie.
When they get to the town where they're meeting the CIA contact, and there's a bunch of old ladies with rotten teeth on the streets, and they run around the town. So there are cop cars, and the cop cars are made by the same company that invented the Yugo. So, and those cars had trouble running around the streets. Now you put a 1961 American convertible in there.
It's not going anywhere.
Yeah, if the predecessor of the Yugo has trouble running around, Pontiac Venture is not going to do the trick. No, sorry, no.
I remember that movie looking very dreary too.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen it in a while, but when I try to picture it in my mind, it looks like it's always overcast.
Yes.
Oh yeah, the all of the technical aspects. Anyone who doesn't know anything about movies can notice the terrible technical aspects of the film. The cutting between scenes is terrible. The way the movie ends makes no sense.
That's why it's a classic.
The way the sound is grafted onto the image is terrible. I mean, you see even the American actors playing English speaking characters, they are speaking their lines differently. That was terrible.
Good stuff. Mm-hmm. Now we need the comic book adaptation of Jim Carter.
Yes, Jim Carter the comic.
Speaking of comic book adaptations,
But here's the thing: if you do a comic adaptation, Jim Carrey is going to be much better, just because they don't need to spend any money on filming.
One of the things I got this week at the comic shop was Chasing Amy. And this, I remember this cover being in the movie. It's Dark Horse, and it's actually, what is the name of it? Quick Stops Volume 3, Number 1. I think there's going to be 4 issues, but they're all just like quick little stories. And this one, it's supposed to look like, Chasing Amy by Holden McNeil. So it's supposed to be like this is the comic that Holden McNeil in the movie, who Ben Affleck played, made. So this is like his version of the events of the movie in the comic, in the movie. It's actually written by Kevin Smith and drawn by, where's the guy's name? John Sprengelmeyer. And according to this, there's like no editorial information of it in it, really. But in here it says something like, it wasn't even here. I read it. This is supposedly an all new comic, but I could have sworn this came out before. But I'm only going by memory, and I don't really. Maybe I'm just remembering the cover from the movie itself. But right. I had thought at some time they put out the comic that was in the movie. But I guess they did.
Did you read the original Clerks comic?
Yes.
And that story's not there.
No, that story's not there. The original
Clerks.
Probably new. This story has nothing to do with Clerks. You remember the movie Chasing Amy?
No, never saw it.
Okay. In the movie Chasing Amy, it's he's a comic book he's a cartoonist Ben Affleck is playing. And then the whole movie happens where he's, going after the woman and doesn't get her. And at the end of the movie, when after everything's said and done, he doesn't get the girl and this and that, he says, well, I'm going to he's like, at least I got something to make a comic book about. And this cover is actually in the movie. He's like here, and he gives, I think he's at a because like Jimmy Palmiotti and Joe Quesada are at the beginning of the movie at a con playing themselves.
Yeah, they make a fake convention.
Right.
And this is right after Marvel did its Marvel thing. So some retailers for a while was wearing shirts that said F Marvel, but it was the whole word out. So it's like big on the movie screen as they're panning across this convention. And yes, he makes that comic. I believe
the movie ends with him making this comic.
Right. You get to see the cover, and I think the last page is shown in the movie.
I think you're right. Let me see if we get the last page here.
It's been a while since I've seen that movie, but I'm almost sure they show a little bit of the inside of the book.
There's the last page.
Mm-hmm.
I vaguely remember that panel, but I don't know if I really do.
Right.
But either way, I was like, is this a facsimile? Is it? And there's also no markings. And what is that empty caption box?
I don't know. Maybe they meant to put something in there. But again, if they were making a comic book, as a prop for the movie,
it was just a prop.
They might have just rushed it out in the last moments. So who knows if the original art was made way back when and he had it sitting there, or they basically put together what they had and then added stuff to it.
Either way, I found it interesting. I liked like I said, it's a synopsis of the movie.
Yeah, basically, it was pretty much what happened.
And the art was pretty nice.
Yeah.
I tried to look up anything else this guy did, and he hasn't done a lot.
Although I want to say the artwork in the movie might have been provided by Mike Aldred.
He did an alternate cover.
Okay.
For this, I know. Yeah. Penciled, inked, and lettered by John Sprengelmeyer. Standard cover, tribute to Mike Allred by John Sprengelmeyer. So maybe Michael Allred drew the original cover. And there's a Secret Stash exclusive cover, homage to Mike Allred by John Spiegelmeyer. So I'm guessing you're right. Mike Allred did the art for the original one. And the indicia says, number 1. And I was looking up how many issues there were, and I think next year the collected edition's coming out. So, but I don't remember there being Quick Stops Volume 1 and 2. Maybe I just missed it.
They printed quite a few things, but
Yeah,
if I
there's been a lot
remember
of Quick
correctly,
Stops.
they mostly centered around Jay and Silent Bob themselves.
Yeah,
There was a Clerks comic book,
that I
but
had some of.
but I think this, as far as I'm aware of, this would be the first time they printed Chasing Amy itself.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know how much of the comic was made for the movie, because they do flip through the book, I think, for a hot second.
It's all
but
new
it's been a
since
while.
since it looks like you said, Mike Allred did any art for and he redid the Mike Allred cover. So
Right.
but it was a fun.
And who knows, because there are at least 2 or 3 other characters in that movie that also created comics, and they showed their covers. So maybe they'll publish those as well.
Yeah, I like I said, there's each of the 4 issues I think is going to be a different quick story.
Okay. So yeah, I did not make it to the comic book shop. I was hoping to get out there today. It didn't happen. I ended up waiting for a package that has been rerouted and won't show up till tomorrow. So I could have went out today, and I decided, yes, next time I got to pay more attention to when it says it's shipping. It did say it should arrive today. Then it's like, it'll arrive this afternoon, and it's like I should have just went. But I most likely would have picked that up, because that would have been a neat little thing for me.
Yeah.
Like, I enjoyed the movie, and I remember when it came out and stuff like that. It was kind of neat seeing Jimmy and Joe on the screens, and it was kind of fun.
I haven't watched it in a long time, but I remember liking the movie.
It's been decades, but I know I used to own it on DVD. Most likely I still do, but it's been a while since I looked at it.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of like because sometimes you'll see comic books that's props in movies. Sometimes they're real comic books. Sometimes it's like, that's not a real book, or it's just out of time. It's not supposed to be in that.
I just saw someone going over the anachronisms in the TV show MASH with there's one scene where Radar O'Reilly has a couple of comic books.
Yes, exactly. That's a great example of it, because those books were not printed at that time period. Those were, I think, accurate to the filming dates.
No, they weren't even.
They weren't.
Because they were 1960s Avengers. 60s or early 70s. And I think they were a few years old at that time.
Okay.
Even. So they got older comics, but they didn't get comics from the early 50s when the Korean War was.
Who cares? They're just comics.
So
people won't be talking about it 50 years later. No way.
Nope.
So before the movie that came out that's called Catch Me If You Can.
Okay.
Marvel had gotten a call, and they wanted to get some comic books that this guy would have read in that time period. And so I forget what time period it was at, because I ran the library at the time, and it was Carol Platt who came by and said, what comic books would have been available on the stands from this time period to this time period? So I say, okay, so I made a list. I don't remember which books, but it was like, these are the books that would have been out. And there was some sort of discrepancy whether or not these books would have been on the stands when this kid would have read them. This kind of a back and forth type of thing was going on between myself, Lego, and then whoever the film studio was. Then eventually it was kind of like, all right, thank you for the information, and I didn't hear anything again. The movie eventually comes out, and the conversation was, if this story is true, wouldn't that be in the biography of what books he was reading? And again, back and forth, it's like, oh, we don't think it's that important, but we would like to get a general idea as what books would have been out. Okay, fine. Here's the information. The movie comes out. They talk about the comic books, and they're all DC comic books, and not a single Marvel thing was there. And I don't know if it's because I pointed out, hey, this doesn't make sense in the time period and what comics that he says he read. Then all of a sudden it's DC books. Okay, whatever. One of the things the guy was doing was making names up, and he was using DC characters, apparently. It isn't until years later you find out that the story this guy's based on, he made up that story and he sold it. He was a con man all the way through, kind of a thing. But it was funny. It's like, are there accuracy to comic books in movie theaters? And sometimes there is, and sometimes they're like, we'll just use what we can for what we need it for. We'll just make up the rest on its way.
Well, if you want Marvel comics from the Korean War era, there are very few comics with permanent characters.
Yeah.
You have Patsy Walker and Millie the Model. The westerns are Two Gun Kid, Kid Colt Outlaw, and the Black Rider. And then you have a couple of the spy characters turned who at the beginning of the Korean War going to a war theater. But even then, they don't have their own titles. They're the main characters in an anthology, and the other stories in the anthology have no permanent characters.
Do you think Radar O'Reilly would have been reading EC comics?
Yes, and he's probably reading Valor. He's one of the few people who are reading Valor. I mean, why not? It's probably the most interesting heroic comic to read in a war context.
Mm-hmm.
Because it resembles Prince Valiant.
I wonder how many comics made it over to Korea during the war. I have no idea if the GIs even read any comics. So I know they were in World War II, I've read.
Yeah, but I've never heard of they doing that in Korea.
Yeah, I've never heard it mentioned.
Not that it would have been as easier because you don't have the cheap printing and distribution. Because by the time we get to 1950, even though you still have the mafia connection and distribution, you no longer have the same economic conditions.
Actually, I don't know if I ever took. I wish I could find this article. I only read it once, and I wish I had noted what it was, and I can't find it anywhere. But I read that the reason comics were cheap up until the early 70s was that they made so much newsprint during World War II that they kept up in cold storage in Canada that it didn't run out until the 70s. And
not World War II. It was during the Prohibition. Not during World War II. It was during the Prohibition.
The Prohibition?
Yeah, because the way that you could hide moonshine shipments from Canada was in the boats in the Great Lakes, bringing wood pulp.
Well, they could probably do that on a normal day. But like I said, this I wish I can find no other reference to it. So I don't know how true it is. I can't even find the original reference that I read, I don't know, 25 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like that could be the guy who wrote that could have been making it up completely because I can't find any reference to it. And I'm like, how come this age of Google, I can't.
But we know from the prices that it couldn't have been during World War II. For starters, because they had paper drives. And if they had paper drives, it's because they needed to recycle it.
Right.
So that's why they got the paper. If they had enough paper...
by the end of World War II, it could have been all ramped up.
But like by the end of World War II,
the end of World War II, production in the U.S. was so crazy that it could have been then. Like the difference between 1941 and 1945 in U.S. production is night and day.
Right.
So it could have been in 19. Like I said, I can't find a reference to it anywhere. So this could be completely nonsensical.
Right. But if you go, if you go through through the details on comic publishing, that's what the Grid Comics database is for. It's not there to track your the first appearances in your collection. Right. It's there so you can study how many pages comics in the 1940s had. And we know that there are comics which were monthly, which became bi-monthly, but did not come out bi-monthly because the publisher didn't have access to paper. And by the time the paper industry was back up after World War II, the comics were no longer 64 pages; they were 48, still at 10 cents, and a few were already 32. By the time we get to 1952, there are very few 48 pages comics left. That means there's not enough paper. The printing costs have gone up, and the comics industry was more interested in retaining the 10-cent price point than in raising prices and keeping the relative size of comics. So there's no more paper left from the Prohibition era in 1951. And we know that because the Grand Comics database tells us how many pages each comic had.
Like I wish I could find that article just to find it again, because it's just a story. It's like if I can't figure out where it came from, it's just a story.
But we know that they had to disguise the distribution of liquor from Canada during the Prohibition.
Yep.
What they had in Canada was forests, and they brought over the wood pulp, which was cheap because they didn't actually need it. It was just a cover. So you print paper publications cheap, and then you distribute them in the trucks that carry the moonshine.
The moonshine, the paper's being subsidized by the moonshine.
Exactly.
Another comic, I got a comic off of eBay this week. Sort of like, what did I get last week? Department of Truth #1. This week I got World Tree #1. This was another one I was late on, and I didn't have a first printing of the first issue. So I said, let me look for one. And this is a David Aja cover. I kind of like it, but it's just kind of like a low res version. It fits in with the series, definitely. And I kind of like it, but it's not. I prefer other David Aja drawings, but I do like this cover. And it's also, I want to say signed by James Tynion, but that's really initialed. When your autograph is just your initials, it's not an autograph.
Listen, when you're autographing 500 comics in 1 hour, you need to reduce
I know, but calling it an autograph to me is fake news.
Listen, I came up with a similar signature, and I'm not even famous.
I understand, but I like Jim Steranko. If you were going to pay that much money for a signature, Jim Steranko is giving you a fancy signature. But it costs me. Once again, if you're buying one issue on eBay, the comic itself was $8, and the shipping and tax is $6 and $1.17. So this cost me $15.17, which isn't bad for a first printing of this, initialed by James Tynion. And I like the way that the initials, I think they blend in nicely on her chin. I think that's actually a nice location for it. Goes with the artwork, and it also comes with. I want to complain about this for a second.
Is it just me, or is David Aja now thinking that he's the new Bill Sienkiewicz?
No,
doing covers.
His normal covers are very heavily graphic designy, not illustrative like Bill Sienkiewicz. This is not sort of what am I saying? This is not a great example of David Aha art. It is in terms of the simplification of colors, but his art. But this is more, photo JPEG art of what do they call it? 8-bit art. So this is more 8-bit art-ish because it's supposed to be like the screen, a low-res screen kind of thing. I don't think he's nearly like Bill Sienkiewicz is all traditional illustration. He's got a lot of his own techniques that he's worked on, but he's straight up traditional illustration. David Aha's way more graphic design illustration. But it comes with a certificate of authenticity on this hammer-mill blue paper, which they didn't even spring for the cardstock. They got the regular uncoated printer paper hammer-mill blue, and I'm just like, you know what?
Probably did it in-house.
About 15 minutes.
Who certifies the certificates of authenticity?
Nobody.
It is the company itself. It is the comic book shop itself will print those out.
But yeah, well, I'm just saying you could bootleg this in an instant. It would take no more than 15 minutes to make a bootleg of this. Like I said, they didn't even spring for the cardstock.
Yeah,
blue, which would be a little harder to get, maybe not really, but but that just I was
it's
like,
just, again, it just comes down to cost and speed.
It's just to make people feel good. It's not a real certificate of authenticity.
Yeah,
it just makes people feel good.
Yeah, you could get the logo printed onto a shiny prism type paper, and then seal it with the tape seal, and then that's it. And it looks a little more authentic, but none of that stuff is all a check off on a print app.
Yeah, you can send that to the CGC, and they'll just misplace the certificate of authenticity and put it in an Archie comic or something.
Yeah, there's nothing, but I like. I'm happy to have it. Gives me delight. Happy to have World Tree. Like I said, I think I have like a 4th or 5th printing of this. I was just like, let's get a first printing. Why not? It was my birthday. I was buying lots of stuff.
Yeah, well, $15, including shipping included.
Yeah,
it's not that much.
Nah, not compared to this Walking Dead stuff I have to show you. Which is much. Some of it's not that cheap. Like one of the Walking Deads I picked up was just Walking Dead Weekly #3. If you remember, I bought the CGC, I think 9.4 of Walking Dead #3. But then I went, you know what? I want a non-CG'd copy of it too. But I wasn't dropping another $200 on it. And then so I was like, let me get that, which wasn't, once again, the comic itself only $4, shipping $5.50, tax $79, so it was $10.28 just to have a copy outside the case. I was like, all right, let's do that. Let's have a copy outside the case. But that brings me to I don't know what's up with some eBay sellers, because I was looking at Walking Dead 26, 28, and 29. Looking at those 3 issues, found one that was kind of reasonably priced. And I was like, but the shipping was like $8 for a, I don't know, $10 issue. So I said, well, let's see what else they have. Sure enough, they had all 3 of them for a good price. But why don't they combine shipping? Because I put them, because what I mean, I know Wilson has bought and sold on eBay before. What used to happen is that they would have in their in the description we combine shipping, just ask us and wait for an invoice or something like that. And eBay made it even easier, where now you have a cart, where if you're buying from the same place and they combine shipping, it does it automatically. So you put the 3 things in your cart and it tells you what the shipping is, the combined shipping is, and you go from there. This place didn't say they combined shipping. I put all 3 in my cart and the shipping was $25. And I'm just like, or 26. I think it was $8.80 was the shipping on it for one comic.
Right.
And I'm like, no, and I don't want to go through the trouble. And since they don't say they combine shipping, and the shipping isn't combined when you put it in the cart, I'm not going through the trouble of contacting them to see if they combine shipping, because obviously they don't.
Right. There is supposed to be once you put everything in your cart, there should be a button, and most of the time they have, where it says request new invoice. You click on that, that alerts them that you're buying all 3 items, and then they can adjust it. That is supposed to be on there, but it's not always on there. So they may have because again, having an eBay store myself, there are little things you could go in and press buttons on to say automatically do this or manually do this or ignore it. Now, there are some cases where they won't do combined shipping because the items were part of a sale.
Right.
That happens sometimes. I think it's ridiculous. I think if you're buying more than one item from the same person, shipping should automatically combine.
That might have been, they might have been a sale too.
So
yeah, it's crazy.
That happens on a sale, and it is crazy, and I completely agree with you. Even owning a store, I try to make it as easy as possible to have someone buy my stuff. And I do know that there are some people on eBay who feels that the way they're going to make extra money because they dislike having to pay eBay anything.
Right.
They're nickel and diming themselves, eBay and the buyers. So what they'll do is that they'll overcharge on the shipping.
Oh yeah, I've
seen that
that's normal.
way too many times. A comic book should not cost more than $4.75 to ship. According to weight and package, it shouldn't cost more than that. But they're charging $8.88, right? $8.88. They're pocketing almost $5 extra on top of whatever they're selling the item for. And sure, there is, the cost of loading the item up. eBay takes their fee or whatever. So eBay, instead of cracking down on people overcharging on the shipping, eBay takes a cut of the shipping as well.
Yeah.
So it's like, so instead of fixing the problem, they're like, well, if you're going to make money on that, we're going to make money on that. And I've seen plenty of people put like $12.95 on shipping, and it's like, I'm not buying this item, because even though I would make, I saved a good amount of money on the item itself, the shipping cost is like, no, I could actually find it cheaper somewhere else with shipping.
Yeah.
When they do a proper shipping. But as you mentioned, if that button did not come up, and it usually is right there, so you can't miss it. Usually it says request new invoice for combined shipping. If it doesn't come up, then they didn't have something pressed altogether.
Or like you said, it might have been the sale, because I think they may have been on sale.
There is a weird portion when it's on sale. It's like, oh, well, fine, but I'm taking advantage of the sale, but I'm going to lose the money because of the shipping.
It's going to be more. I'm saving $3 on the sale and paying an extra $20 on shipping. Right. It's like,
I've done that where someone had offered the item was a reasonable price. Let's say it was $12.99, and the shipping was free. And I was like, okay, cool. I think I want to buy it. So I said, I'll look at it later. So I click on that I like it. That automatically tells the eBayer, and it depends on how he has his settings.
Right.
that it may send an automatic offer to you of like
Yeah.
10% off.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to read it carefully because, like, oh, 10% off. Okay, I can save 10%. But now they're charging for shipping, but
Ah.
shipping was free a moment ago. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, I'll still save at least $3 more if I buy the original
Yeah.
at $14.99 and not the 10% off with the added shipping. And it's like,
Yeah.
now I'm not saving money if I go through their offer. So you got to keep an eye on these. Not to say they're
Oh,
malicious, but
no. I
people are
think some of
lazy.
that's automatic. Like, because I've had
Yes.
some of them where, let's say the thing is $10, but it's a sale.
Right.
So it's 20% off sale. So it's $8. And then you get sent an offer of 10% off, but it's 10% off the $10. So it's $9. It's like, what?
Yeah.
I could get it for $8 if I hit this button. That's weird.
Yeah.
But here's a shipping story that blew my mind. This is the one, if you remember, I told the story last week about accidentally getting the comic twice. Because this is one of the more expensive ones. Walking Dead 27. The first appearance of the governor. And I forget when I was looking to see how much it was selling for. It was a pretty penny. It was probably around $100. So I saw this one. I've got the Walking Dead. I've got a 9.4 of it too. And out of CGC one, which is in mid condition. But the reason I have this is because, like I said, sometimes you just put a bid on something and then you never expect to. This one had an opening bid of $20. Like I said, this book raw goes for 80 to 100, let's say. Had an opening bid of $20 plus $20 shipping. So I put a bid on it. There's 5-6 days to go. You never win an auction, except on these Walking Dead books, apparently. You never win an auction with 5 days to go. So then I just, I didn't even think about this one. So I all week I was looking for this specific issue, see how cheaply I could get it. And this one ended up costing me $65 altogether with tax and shipping. I thought that was a good deal. I was like, yeah, this one goes for 80 to 100, and then it amazes me the variation. You have to, like I said, you have to go to sold copies.
Right.
Because there's people asking for, $200 for this, 200, anywhere from 100 to 400 for this, but no one's selling it for that. Right. I looked at sold stuff and it was more around 80 to 100. So $60 was a good deal in really nice shape. I ended up getting it. And then like 3 days later, the auction goes off on this one, which I got for $43. Well, that 9.4 CG Seed one was $20 cheaper than the raw one. It was like, what? But like I said, I looked, as I was looking at things, I noticed that sometimes with these Walking Dead books that were CGC'd, like if it's a 9.4 or a 9.6, no one would bid on them. And they'd go for whatever the minimum bid was, which was $20. So I'm sure whoever was selling this was really disappointed. But man, did they pack it for my $20. I have never seen a comic packed like this. It was like a Russian nesting doll. I don't even know how it's possible. Those just my watch just unlocked my computer, but that's a whole other thing. My other computer. I've got third computer set up now. That's a whole other story. Those what are they called? Those boxes that the post office gives you, the priority boxes.
Yes.
So the CGC comes in a priority box. Nothing unusual about that. They usually do. So I open up the priority box, and inside is a second priority box. Fit as tightly, like they were made to fit together. One priority box doesn't fit into another priority box. They're all the same size, but nested in there perfectly. So I opened up the second priority box, and there's a third priority box in there. And I'm like, this is why we've got global warming. How many boxes does it need to be in? So we got the third priority box, and now there's a priority padded envelope. You know those, right? The
Yes.
plastic one bubble wrap envelope.
Yes.
Okay. Open that, and in there is a second priority bubble wrap envelope. So I open that one, and there's a third priority mail bubble envelope. I'm just like, this is nuts. So there was 3 boxes and 3 bubble wrap envelopes to make sure that got to me safely. I'm just like, whoa, I have never seen anything packaged like this.
And what it is, there's a horror story of that person receiving his comic book probably thrown into a regular envelope type of a thing.
Was the comic package as crazy as your dolphin painting?
No, it wasn't. Not even close. I don't remember how the dolphin painting was packaged, but I'll remember this forever. Because, like I said, it was a Russian nesting doll of packages. I was just like, what? But yeah, I've got 2 Walking Dead 27s.
There you go. One you could read and one you have hanging up to look at.
Yep. Thumbs up the vid if you like, peeps.
That's right. People like and subscribe. I should do that. I should say that more often, like the people who are trying to become professional YouTubers.
Yeah, I always say that. I always think that too. Then I go, eh.
Don't forget to hit thumbs up and subscribe so you can get all of the latest videos.
And hit that bell so you know when we'll be on.
Or something like that.
And don't forget to follow everybody and talk to each other and create a community.
And I'll see you in the comment section. Your opinion matters.
But here's another expensive Walking Dead that I got for fairly cheap, because here's something that I know why CGC does it, but it's still crazy. When you send a book to CGC, not this one's Raw, Walking Dead #4. When you send a book to CGC for them to grade, the back cover counts as much as the front cover. What I mean by that is if there's ticks on the back cover that make it a 7.0, it's a 7.0. Those same ticks on the front cover, it's still a 7.0. Even though I have to say that doesn't match reality. If you have a choice between 2 comics, both are the same grade, one has a whole bunch of marks on the front, one has a whole bunch of the same exact marks, but they're on the back, everybody in the world is going to pick the unmarked front.
Mm-hmm.
No one is going to say, well, for the same money, I'll buy the one with the marks on the front cover. It's just not going to happen.
Nope.
But like I said, I understand it, because it makes life easier for CGC, because if it's a 7.0 with these marks on the front, it's a 7.0 with these marks on the back. Like I understand it 100%, but no one's buying the ones with the marks on the front. So this is Walking Dead #4. And if you remember, I paid $240 for a CG Seed #3, and #4 is just about as expensive. When you get a CG Seed, and there's not a lot of un-CG Seed one, except this one was I paid $54 for this instead of $254, because, well, it was sold by somebody who was new. They only had 11 thumbs up or whatever it is, their feedback. And it's got some marks on the back. Front cover, fine. No problem with it. Back cover, let's see if we can, yeah. You see those marks on the
Ooh.
back cover?
Oh
Oh
yeah.
yeah. But you know what? It doesn't matter.
That drove the price all the way down so I could get it.
Yeah.
If I ever want a mint condition one in the future, I'll get it in the future.
Right.
But yeah, that's a good example of if these marks were on the front, no one would buy.
Want,
You know, I wouldn't have bought it if those marks were on the front. But this is the same grade whether all those marks are on the back or on the front. And I just got to say, what do they call it in CGC? Presents well. Even though it's a 3.5, it presents well.
Yeah, I mean it is down to presentation. Most of the time, people are just going to see it in a bag that you're putting it in and would be happy with it like
Right.
that. And if it saves you some money. You know, as long as it was put onto the eBay. I've sold plenty of books where the back isn't that great, but it's still sold at
As
what
long
I
as
thought
people
was
know the
more.
back isn't
As
great,
long
they're
as they're
good.
aware of it, yeah. And
Right.
that's why it's like, you get 12 pictures to choose for eBay, and I use up all 12. I do each
Right.
corner. I do the front, the back, the corners, even an interior shot to see the color of the paper.
Yep.
I've seen other people that they just take a shot of the front and back and call it a day.
Right.
And it's like, but I know people are going to be very picky
Yeah, I
because
can't
some of these
remember.
things may go to CGC or whatever.
This guy
So
was new. I can't remember if he just had 2 pictures or not, but you could easily see the back had
right,
all the marks on it. But
exactly.
here's another tip. I don't use bags all the time, but always put the bag and board in together. Just a little tip for you for bagging stuff. You don't want to you don't want to put the board in first and then drag the comic across the board. At least that's what bagging and boarding people tell me.
But it is true. The paper in the board is harsh, and it'll damage the.
And
It'll put thick marks on the back of the cover and drive it down to 7.0.
You can and make sure you put the comic against the glossy side of the board, the smooth side. Because there's a coated side and an uncoated side.
Unless you do your boards off of those leftover paper boxes, then there's no smoothness. Sometimes I think that's what we should turn the show onto, is a show about investment advice on comic books. But no, we have to talk about the realism in Spawn's chains.
Oh, I got the new issue of Spawn.
Oh,
yes, even though it's already $3.99.
It is. It's a $4 comic now, and I'm still buying it.
But then again, that Marvel and DC are gonna have all of their comics be $5 pretty soon. So.
Oh yeah, Spawn 368. It was not a great issue. This issue, the art was fine. Brett Booth and his inkers were his inkers. Delso Corona, Daniel Enriquez, Robert Nugent, colorist, Tom Warzakowski, lettering. There was a lot of sort of like last issue where they're fighting this big giant monster. This was sort of a wrap-up fight of the big giant monster with a bunch of explanation in it. I have to say, I have been with Todd McFarlane only started writing this again, I don't even know, with 360 or so, maybe 7 issues ago. And I have to say that I've been more impressed with which isn't hard, because his writing has been terrible for so many years. I've been more impressed with this run on his writing. He must have got an editor, because he's not the last. I used to read them on here when he'd be making basic English 101 classes mistake in his writing. Like, it's like, oh, my freshman English teacher would be marking that with a big X through it. Like, he was making those sort of mistakes. He's not making them with this, though. Did.
You want to bet that Brett Booth is plotting the comic by himself and writing dialogue on the margins?
Could be. Instead of having a separate page with his TV show Talking Heads, he gave us a spread with the TV show Talking Heads on top. I skipped them just the same.
It's fewer text, okay?
The cover of that cardboard?
Was that
the cover stock? Is that a heavier stock?
Yeah, it's a cardstock cover. I like that about because it's only a 24-page comic, so the cardstock cover really makes it feel more substantial.
Okay. Did that happen with the price increase?
Yeah, they just went up in price to $4. It was the last of the $3 comics. Now it's $4. I think last issue was the first one.
Okay, so at least there is a better stock of cover.
Yeah.
With the price going up.
Matter of fact, did you see it was one of the hot books of the week?
No.
What's his name? Chris O'Halloran and Maxwell. Chris O'Halloran is the colorist. Maxwell Prince. Oh, and I can't remember the artist's name. The three guys who do Ice Cream Man are doing a Superman miniseries called Superman Spectrum or something like that.
Okay.
A lot of people were showing it on YouTube this week or TikTok, whatever this week.
Yeah, Maxwell Prince, Martin Morazzo, and Chris O'Halloran.
Martin Morazzo, that's his name. Chris O'Halloran's the colorist. He's there.
Yeah, the Kryptonite Spectrum. And for some reason, it's a Black Label book.
Yeah, it's a Black Label book, and it was $6.
Jeez, what for?
And I was looking at getting it, and I went $6. I don't want to. I don't.
And I think they're introducing new Kryptonite. So to me, it's like,
Is that what they're doing? Introducing?
I believe new Kryptonite is being introduced, or old Kryptonite colors are coming back because they haven't used them. I don't know. I do recall that I did skip a video on TikTok when they were talking about the introduction of new Kryptonite, and I was like, I don't care. I scrolled and it was like, to me, again, if I see it at the comic book shop, that price tag does not give me any hope to want to pick it up.
Right. It's kind of like, I mean, I like the creative team on Ice Cream Man, though I did look through it and noticed that if you remember, one of the things that I said about Ice Cream Man is Martin
Morazzo.
Martin Morazzo. One of the things he does on Ice Cream Man that makes it extra creepy that like nobody ever does is he draws individual teeth on a lot of characters. And that just gives the horror book a really creepy feel. So I looked through that. I was even pointing this out to one of the guys I know at the shop. He wasn't doing that on the Superman one. And I was like, ooh, I always thought that was like an individual choice for Ice Cream Man. And I think, and looking at the Superman one, I go, oh, it really was that.
I don't recall which artist said it. It might have been Art Adams. Or it may even go further back than him. One of the things that I remember learning about drawing characters that you do not draw each individual teeth. You only keep those for the monsters.
Right.
Monsters have individually drawn teeth, but people shouldn't because of that very well effect that is creepy. It might have been Art Adams who said it, or it could have been Todd McFarlane talking about Venom.
Yeah. Either way, nobody draws individual teeth. It's usually a block of white. Sometimes they'll draw like the back molar. If you have like an open mouth shot, they'll draw back molar. And sometimes people will draw teeth like when you're gritting your teeth, they'll draw them on the edges of your mouth, but not all the way through.
Yeah.
So I was like,
So yeah, that was one of the things I remember learning and always kept in the back of my mind. If it's a monster, all the teeth. Humans, just a nice slick look.
One thing John Romita told me that's always in the back of my mind too is he's like, don't worry about ears too much. Don't draw them all detailed because people don't like ears. I was like, And now every time I'm drawing an ear, I'm like, I'm keeping it simple.
Yeah.
Something else that nobody has ever drawn in a comic book: hair nose.
You're right. Not a lot of nose hair in a comic book.
Nasals.
I wonder if there was, and I have to go get my Great Gatsby adaptation. Hold on, let me see.
Navels. Nobody has navels. Or male nipples.
There we go.
It depends. It depends on the comic books, because I've seen them put in there. I've seen them removed. I've seen them don't color them in. Those can vary. Those can vary by artist.
At one point in The Great Gatsby, when describing the gangster, they mention he has 2 tufts of nasal hair. So I wonder if the artist drew them or they just meant theirs. I bet they don't. Gatsby's very careful with women. He did not draw any nasal hair. For he dropped my hand and covered Gatsby with his expressive nose. So they did not. I just had to check because I know in Gatsby they specifically mention his nasal hair in his physical description, but the artist did not draw it.
No. Are you going to re-edit your book and add it?
First in comics, nasal hair.
Did John
Kricfalusi ever draw nasal hair when he was doing Ren and Stimpy comics?
Oh, I don't know. Comedy nasal hair, I know I've seen.
Right.
But I don't know where.
Right. In comedy, you probably do it for effect.
Yeah. Right.
But it's not something that you do when you're trying to be realistic.
And I also got, let's see, Walking Dead number 8. Once again, still in the expensive section. This one, but the guy sent me a deal. This one cost me $50, shipped and taxed. And I think it was originally at $60. And he may have sent me a deal or I made an offer at $40. So, by the way, I've spent all my money. I'm running out of money.
You spent all your birthday money?
Yeah.
They did not draw any nasal hair. We were here every Friday night. That's right.
We're all about the details. Nasal hair and chains.
That's right. You don't want to actually be realistic while drawing the human form.
You want to make decisions.
This, if cartoony works, why bother with doing realistic?
Because realistic works too, if that's what you want to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's about the storytelling, and it takes us back to Kirby, saying that he's a cartoonist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The effect is more important than the realism.
There was a really nice. I got Fantastic Four facsimile edition.
The Puppet Master.
Number 8. And there was a really nice half splash in this. I don't like it. I read this, I don't know, when I was a kid. Who knows when. But this half splash, I thought was particularly well drawn Kirby. I was just like, because a lot of the early Fantastic Four, and I think Chick Stone is on the inks because they're really thick. I know Chick Stone did the thick inks on a lot of the early FFs, and I like his stuff. But I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to look it up. But, because I think a lot of the early Fantastic Fours don't have Kirby's best drawing in them. It looked like he was moving fast on those.
Yes,
Well, at this
I
stage, is
would
still
agree.
yeah. At this stage, is drawing more comics than he used to a year before, and
Ah,
still coming up with new concepts.
right.
So he probably has a lot of work.
Yeah.
So issue number 8. So we're talking late '62, and that's at about this time that Kirby's number of covers overtakes Ditko's number of covers.
Uh-huh.
Because for some reason, in
Okay.
the early years, there are more Ditko covers than there are Kirby covers. I counted them once.
Think they dropped the year in here. The Human Torch. What does he say? Human Torch says something about 1962.
But it is 62 because it's not monthly yet, and the first one as a September's number one as a September '61 cover came out in June.
And I'm impressed that they're still going for that, trying to get that gray on the cover to work. Usually they were staying away from the grays after a little while.
They were allowed to use K-tones on the cover.
Right.
That I didn't know until a few years ago when someone just said it about Batman. I didn't know. I assume Marvel was. I can't even 100% say that Marvel was, but when Neil Adams in the 60s was doing Batman, they were allowed to use K-tones. For those who don't know, are grays, and actual like grays on the black. There's 4 plates. There's black, there's cyan, there's magenta, and there's yellow. And usually on the interiors of comics, the black plate is all black or white. There's no grays on it. You'd have to pay extra for that. So if you want to make a gray on the interior, you have to mix the colors together to get that gray. And that's what they did. So the interior Batman, where his costume was gray, was that mix of color. And on the cover, they used K-tones, or at least Neil Adams did when he was coloring covers. I don't know about anyone else, but I imagine they might have been able to use a K-tone for that gray. I'm not sure with you. I'd have to look at the original under a loop to tell. But yeah, you don't usually see that much gray on a Marvel cover.
Yeah. That's why I was surprised to see it on there.
Yeah.
But not surprised of the time period. Because they were, from what I understand, they were experimenting with grays and trying to get it right. And they couldn't, I guess, on the interiors. That's why the Hulk went from gray to green. According to Stan. I don't know if that was one of the
I believe that one. I think that they couldn't get a consistent gray with the mix of colors on the interiors. Is
Right.
what I
And the
think.
Hulk number 1, I think, came out right about the same time as Fantastic Four number 8.
Mm-hmm. The world's greatest. I wonder if I haven't seen. I don't know what the original looks like, but I wonder if they used, because it's got a weird airbrush on the Puppet Master there.
Yes,
and
some
I wonder,
covers were getting airbrushed.
Yeah, I don't know. Like even the Thing has got a little airbrush in there, and I know sometimes they would do that on covers, but I don't know that Marvel did. I don't remember.
They did it very few times. They did it, but not that many times.
That must cost
it really depend on, I guess whoever was doing the coloring at the time and what they were trying out.
Well, it was always the price of the color separations that did that. Because
right.
it wasn't that the colorist couldn't color some K-tones. It was that the color separator wasn't separating them unless you paid the next, because you were paying for 3 colors and three colors within those colors. You weren't paying for the.
Kirby probably came up with the color concept for the cover, and Stan Goldberg was just following his direction.
I don't know if did Kirby come up with color concepts. I don't even know that.
It probably did.
I don't know,
because there's a lot of color experimentation on his covers, and I doubt that it's Stan Goldberg's idea, because he has to color everything.
Yeah,
it doesn't have. Goldberg has to color everything and draw Millie the model. And come up with plots because Stan's not interested. So So he doesn't have time to come up with weird color concepts for Fantastic Four.
Right, we'd have to see the original art. Maybe there were some color notes on it.
No, because we probably won't find it in the original art, because Kirby would draw, and then he would color a photocopy, because it's the color guide for the actual colorist.
It would be Stan Goldberg who would color the photocopy. Sometimes there are color notes written around the edges of covers. You'll often find that. I mean, I don't know about that early, but I know all throughout Marvel, if the artist had a color idea, he'd usually write it on the edge of the art. I would think only the most proactive artists were actually doing some kind of color guide for the colorist. Steranko would.
Mm-hmm. Kirby would, even if he was overworked, Kirby would, just because he had the editorial the editorial expertise to know what colors would go in there, because that Kirby doesn't like to spend time on things that he's already drawn.
Right.
That's why he never inked himself.
Mm-hmm.
But he probably would have to, when he came up with the character designs, he would have to color something, or with the color covers, because that there's just some things in Fantastic Four that don't make sense unless Kirby was the one coming up with the coloring.
But this is definitely a early 60s Marvel Fantastic Four story, because it's just reading it, it stands out. It stands out in my, it's self-contained.
Yeah.
They're taking on a villain, the Puppet Master, who has, powers with no explanation. There's the Thing turning back into Ben Grimm. There's him fighting with. So it's like just such a. And it wraps up. Some nice Thing power. Like I said, it wraps up within the one issue. And just reading it, there was such a stark difference between this and like any Fantastic Four story that would come out today. It just struck me.
You notice that the story is being still separated into chapters?
Yeah.
Even though it doesn't need it.
Right. And it's just like the Puppet Master has almost no explanation for his powers. It's just like, I got this magic clay.
Yeah.
I can make people follow my orders.
Mm-hmm.
He just has to make little dioramas of them. And like for no reason, except it fits the plot pretty well.
Because I'm evil and I want to control people.
Yeah.
That's the first thing you come up. That's the first idea you have when you get some magic clay. I'm going to control people.
Yeah.
How did he figure out that the magic clay would allow him to control people?
That's just it. Like, you could not do a story like this today because everything would have to be explained. It would have to be like a 6-issue story. Hello there,
ladies and gentlemen. Chris
Hey, Chris. Welcome. Good to see you again.
G. Russo.
Me and Wilson hung out like all weekend.
Woohoo! Oh, were you at Terrificon?
I visited on what was it, Saturday or Sunday for a few hours and stopped by Chris's table.
I'll have to show Chris, where did I put my I got this last week, Chris. My Hulk Smash Mini Marvels.
All right.
My sister got it off my Amazon list for my birthday.
Awesome.
New printing of. And somebody on my when I was showing this off on my weekly haul 2 weeks ago, somebody left a comment saying he loves that issue. It's really special to him because when he and his wife and son were moving, he got his son, I guess as a younger kid, that issue, and he just read it the whole time when he kept reading it over and over. So that issue kept his son happy in this stressful time of the family moving.
Awesome.
Fond memories of.
That's cool.
Oh, I got to tell Chris that.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. But like the fantastic, just the stark difference, the sort of seat of your pants storytelling that was going on in this issue compared to, I don't know, what's the opposite of seat of your pants storytelling? Your whole pants? I never thought about that before.
The legs of your pants.
The what of your pants?
Legs.
The legs of your pants. Maybe the legs of your pants story.
The pockets in your pants, because that's where you keep stuff.
It's like,
yeah, but at this time they don't have multi-part stories yet. So there's an obvious soap opera element, which was Kirby's idea, that is being introduced in the way that the characters interact, the main characters of the Fantastic Four, and by then we've had
trying to keep the thing out of the lab they were doing, because Reed was working on a cure for them. So the thing just starts fighting with everybody because he's like, I can go in this lab if I want to.
And by this time, I think the Submariner had already appeared twice.
Yeah.
So that was the first repeat villain. But we still don't have anything resembling an ongoing storyline.
Right.
So, because the first story, the first two-parter, was the Hulk story in 11 and 12.
Okay. I think they're going up to all the way to 12 with the facsimiles, so I'll be getting those. Fun reading it month to month.
Yeah. Because they're actually complete stories. Yeah. You can't do that with those comics because they're not being written for the trade. There's no trade.
And I'm trying to think of a Chris question.
Okay, if you had that illness that made you eat odd things and your thing was an issue of a comic, what comic issue would you constantly have to eat? And also, have you ever drawn tufts of nose hair?
Yes, we had a nose hair discussion earlier.
Yeah, it's a part of the human body that's never drawn in a comic. It's the nose hair.
Except maybe comedically, we were thinking.
I bet you Robert Crumb has drawn some of that.
Maybe.
Yeah, and John Kricfalusi.
You know what? Here's an easy answer to the comic issue. I've always said Art Baltazar's comics look like candy.
Ah.
So I would just eat those. Tiny Titans.
Ah.
Oh yeah, comics.
Well, what was that comic I bought last year about cars and robots? I said that art looked like candy. I can't remember what it was. Took place in some future city, and there was robots and cars, and they had a robot driving a car. He was a retired robot racer. That's what it was.
The things they do just to not copy the Transformers. If you're a robot, you just turn into a car. You don't drive a car.
The Turners.
But this just reminded me too, because I was thinking, there's no way you could do a comic like this today that wasn't sort of ironic or self-conscious or something like that. Then I remembered, this is Fantastic Four #8 facsimile against the Puppet Master. Then I was thinking there was one comic that I think was... it came out like in the late 90s, early 2000s. I'll have to look at it. It's still here. I think it was called Silver. Just Silver. And it was this guy. I don't even remember who he was. I never heard of him before since. Only like 3 or 4 issues came out. But it was him doing his sort of best like Silver Age stories. But they were like 100% earnest. There was nothing sort of ironic about them. There was nothing sort of bad. He was just telling his stories in a Silver Age way. I don't have to look those up. I really liked them. They were like, it was like the first, because I've seen people do like their own Silver Age stories, but there's always sort of a nod and a wink or a self-consciousness to them. If not being ironic, that's a whole other thing. But this one was like the least self-conscious, I want to make Silver Age stories issues. Petrolhead, there's the name.
Yeah.
Wilson had it. Petrol Head. Not petrol, as in gasoline.
Yeah.
That was the one that looked like, but the name might make me not want to eat it because the art looked like candy.
Well, you know that chewing gum is made of oil, but you don't swallow chewing gum except by accident.
You don't?
Have you ever swallowed a chewing gum by accident?
I've swallowed chewing gum on purpose as a kid.
Yeah, I've done that as well.
Because you go, gee, I wonder if anything will happen if I swallow this chewing gum.
I did that with
Nothing
fish
happened.
bones. Then it got stuck in my throat.
Yeah. Nothing happened.
Of course, petrol heads cannot be robots. Petrol heads are humans. I'm a petrol head. That's why I can tell that it's a bad idea to put a 1961 Pontiac Venture in the streets of Yugoslavia in 1985.
In the future, all petrol heads will be AI.
I doubt it. Because the real petrol heads drive cars that don't have any sort of computers in them.
And I think I finished up the 40s on Walking Dead. What do I got here? This is the last. I think some of them were in a group. I got 41. This one cost $14 altogether. 43. Let's see. I bought 43, 44, 45, 46, and 47 for $65, which is $13 a book. We got 43, 44. A lot of red covers in this. 45. And I think this is a double of 46. I may have bought this individually before, but then they were all in this group. And 47 all came together. Like I said, these were $13 a book, not too bad. Then I got 48, which I bought. I didn't need 54, but these were together, and it was kind of cheaper to get them together. They ended up being together, because for some reason 48 was more expensive than all the other ones around it. I think it's the death of the governor. So these were like, let's see, order total $24.35, so it was $12.18 an issue. But I can sell on this 54. Then the last one I got was 49, which was $10. So I'm done with the 40. I think I've got from 31 on now.
Donald Rex is here. Hey, Donald.
I'm working and lurking. All right.
Hello, welcome.
Donald, our resident expert on Charlton romance comics.
Charlton romance comics. Ah, yes. Did he ever get in touch with Mort Todd, I wonder? Or not yet?
62 Lefty Blue says he just finished Companion number 4, read the whole series in a week.
See, I see that and I go, wow, I got to live with that series for 15 years. And it was a lot of fun. And not that I'm going to read it all in a week one day. I'm going to buy the color version once it comes out in books form. That's what I've decided I'm going to do. And I'll probably read that in a week. But like I said, I'm a fan of the original issues. Like, I'm a fan of buying them as periodicals because I like to live with the comic. Like Walking Dead, reading all of it in a week is its own experience. That's its own sort of thing. But reading it month to month for how long did Walking Dead come out? Over 12 years, 12 years, something like that. Reading it month to month from 12 years is an experience you can only get at the time it's coming out. So that's one of the reasons I like monthly comics. It's an experience. You get to live with the issues. You get to talk. You get to be shocked for a month and there's no cliffhangers when you read it. Listen, not that I'm putting down reading the whole thing in 4 days, because that's how I'd read it now, and that's how I'm gonna read it when I get all the colored versions of it. So I don't want to like poo-poo that experience, but reading it over time is like a one-time experience.
Yeah, because you do the initial read,
Yeah.
or in my case, when I was buying books and traveling, I would do like a quick go through on the train, just to see what's
Yeah.
kind of going on, but then sit down and read it again,
Right.
put it away, read the rest of the books, and then a few days later, like go through it one more time. Now read everything, maybe the letters pages, maybe other stuff that's in the book. And then I think right before I put it away, put it in bagging boards, I would look through it one more time. But
Yep.
most of the time, the comic books I would read maybe 3 or 4 times
Yeah.
when I was collecting and buying them. When I was at Marvel, it was a different experience because I would read it in black and white because I would get the books to send to the comics code.
Right.
So I would read it to see if I catch anything.
Yep.
Then send it out. And then the books get published. So I would read my comps, maybe in the office, and then maybe on the way home, put it away. And then a few weeks later, get the original artwork and just look at the artwork without any, sometimes with the lettering, without
You
the
were
lettering.
really living with the comics, man.
So I was living with the book. So, and then looking at the pages, and it's like,
yeah. Not many people get to
seeing that
do
they're
that.
big, and not many people do get to do that. So that's one of the main things I miss is looking at all that original art at the,
Right.
all at once and just, taking it all in. The best thing I ever saw on a piece of original artwork was whiteout. It's like, oh, people make mistakes and they can fix it. That's amazing.
Yeah. 62 Lefty Blue says he has a short attention span and likes having the whole story.
Oh, yeah.
When he
Like I
starts
said, I
reading.
got nothing against. I understand why people want the whole thing in front of them, but like I said, living with it is fun too.
Yeah, Donald Rex has tried to get in contact with Mortad, and he's still waiting.
Oh, okay.
Well, Jared, you can let Mortad know that Donald Rex.
I will.
Mhm.
Mhm.
The romance comics are kind of like the more than the westerns. They're the forgotten stepchild
Oh, yeah.
of the comics industry.
No, you know what's weird? Like Liechtenstein's made single panels of romance comics famous.
Yeah.
And you can still find like pop culture stuff. You can find memes made in that sort of romance comic one panel style. So that is still sort of in the public consciousness, but it's in the published consciousness as Roy Lichtenstein paintings.
Mm-hmm.
It's like romance there's probably tons of people who don't even know those panels come from romance comics because they've never heard of romance comics.
Right. And then there was that one guy who was able to buy a bunch of the romance artwork, and then he was repurposing
Oh, yes.
the art, but putting new text in it.
Right. I
making
bought
it
one of those.
funny, and I think they were doing cards
Yeah.
with them and maybe t-shirts. I'm not too sure. Where they were still, again, being more like memes, but in a more
Right.
pop culture way of being as t-shirts or greeting cards type of stuff.
He would. I bought one of them a couple years ago. Untamed Love, I think was the name of it. And he bought the rights to some old romance comics, and he'd strip out all the text and put his own text in, trying to be funny.
Right.
I say trying because I didn't find it very funny, especially since that's something people in the bullpen at Marvel used to do just to pass the time. And there were a lot funnier people at Marvel. And if I were to do something like that, I think that's something that should be done in a group. Like,
right.
I put my jokes in, send it to you, you take stuff out, put stuff in. We try to get it as funny as possible because I've tried to do stuff like that. and it's tough. And I'm like, if I had our friend Bunch to bounce this off, or Chris, or Greg Schiegel, it would be a lot funnier. Because I've heard Greg Schiegel and Chris have discussions over which fruit is funnier, a cantaloupe or I don't know, persimmon. I don't know.
Well,
Is that a fruit?
that sounds like a Greg. It definitely sounds like a Greg conversation.
Yes. Well, he'd draw you in. That is definitely because Greg was always trying to figure out which word was funnier for this joke. So that's
I remember this is one of the ones he would always bring up. What's funnier as a word, sandwich or cashew?
Cashew,
Like
no doubt about it.
Cashew because of the K sound.
I think sandwich just punctuates a joke, really, especially if you're going sandwich. That's just a classic junk.
Well,
But
that's
that's a different word then.
It's a different word.
It's a different word.
Okay, you're right.
If you had to only use those two words, the one that sounds funnier to me is because it has that k sound. So cashews, because K's are funny in a word.
I think about that all the time when I'm writing my comic strip. I have to look for a funny word, and I'm always like, which words would Greg and Chris think are funny? I mean, I've been having the discussion with them in my mind.
Cashew Sandwich is going to be the name of my Men at Work cover band.
Cashew Sandwich.
A good name for a band.
Let's see, a comic that wrapped up this month.
Oh, Donald Rex just sent 2 volumes of the more obscure Spanish and Argentinian artists to the printer. He keeps finding all of these cool artists that nobody's ever heard of because they've never done superheroes.
It amazes me how many artists I've never heard of. Because there've been a lot of. I was just looking at, and these are real famous, Planet Comics.
Yeah,
I have I have a file with all the Planet Comics covers in them. And I was looking at the early ones, and they're signed. And do you know the artist's name from the early Planet Comics? Something with an M? Moreno? Something like that. I'll have to look in my thing. But I was like, how do I not go know this guy's name? I know there's a lot of Planet Comics is really famous for its covers. I have a collection of the covers. There's covers from guys I know who did it later on, but and they're great covers. I'm like, how do I not know this guy's name? But you can't know everything. Hold on, I should open up my iPad and look at this name now.
You just have to know who the artists are. But yeah, I'm looking at some Planet. Yeah, these covers are much better than anything DC was putting out. Maybe
this is the giant iPad my friend Rob gave me. Oh no, it's Zolny, Zolne, Rowrh.
Zolny Rauer.
What the heck kind of name is that?
Yeah.
Zolny Kowich.
Huh.
Oh, there. Zolny Rowich.
Zolny Rowich. Okay.
Zolny Rowich.
And you're talking about the comic book called Planet Comics?
Yeah, Planet Comics.
Oh, okay.
Golden Age, lots of classic, famous covers. You probably recognize some, but like Buzz Crandall, I was like, do I know Zolny Kowich? It's like, shouldn't I know that name? Here's one by Lardo. Once again, these are the early ones, number 12. And it looks like the signature is Lardo.
Lardo.
Or Glardo? Is there a G at the beginning of that?
There's Graham Ingalls. Could that be it?
Maybe C. Lardo?
I don't know. I only know his EC stuff. This doesn't look. But man, do these look good on this giant iPad.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
My cracked giant iPad. That's why I got it.
Well,
that's why it was going in the garbage, so I got it.
Can Okay, so Will Eisner did a bunch of early. Okay, so issue number 1 has a Lou Fine cover.
If you've never seen these Planet Comics covers, look. Matter of fact, I'll give you a CBR of it if you want.
I'll take it.
Gathered them all together. I'll have to put that on Dropbox for everyone.
Bob Powell, Charles Sultan.
Donald Hexy did a lot of great covers for Quality Comics too. Zoin.
Zolny, yeah.
Zolan.
Maybe it's Charles. Which was the cover, the issue number that you couldn't tell the signature?
Lardo, let's see. Stop talking. Number 12. That's the one by Clardo or Lardo or something like that.
Number 12. John Solardo.
John Solardo. I still haven't heard of him.
Yeah, I've seen his name around when I'm surfing through the Grand Comics database. Yeah, there's something called. Yeah, he started at the Iger shop. You get some issue overview. Fight Comics, National Comics. So yeah, he was mostly working for Quality in the early 40s. There's Hawk of the Seas at Jumbo Comics. Okay. Then I think he went to the Army in 42. Comes back.
And there's just so many comic artists who never worked in comics again after the congressional hearings and such.
Yep.
There's a whole list of them in 10 Cent Plague. John Solardo, number 12 cover.
There you go. He stays at Fiction House through 1948, 49, 48, 49. Yeah. Yeah. Then he goes to American Comics Group, and he's doing a lot of westerns and other stuff too. Also at Pines. Was he working for Kirby? Ziff Davis at Kid Cowboy. Yeah, after Planet Comics was canceled, he was but I guess this must have been the studio, because I see Zolny also appearing in the same issues as Solardo at Hillman and Pines. Yeah, St. John, but not at the big ones. Because Fiction, still the Fiction House here. Wings Comics, it still appears, doing Suicide Smith. He works on Kanga. He was still quite prolific. So even it starts in 1940, and is still going in 52 and doing war comics and romance comics. 53 at Pines. Boy Loves a Girl. Oh, for Lev Gleason, and also doing Buster Crab. Man,
he did a lot of stuff for us, never hearing of him.
Yeah. Then okay, so this is through 1956. Yeah, it still appears in a few issues. Oh my God, no way! He did some pages for the comic book adaptation of John Wayne's Genghis Khan movie.
No, there's a comic book adaptation of that.
Oh yeah, you know that they did that comic book adaptations of all the movies at the time, but doing
I don't remember that one.
Okay, so let me see. So it's for color number 690 in 1956.
Wow. Is that the one where everybody got cancer?
Yeah.
because it was near an atomic bomb testing site.
Yeah,
Whoops.
Yep.
Solardo was assisting Mel Kiefer because he did a few pages.
Okay.
He does some inks over Bob Correa at Two Rocks Son of Stone, and then he's got. I'm not sure if he's gone. I mean, he's not appearing in comic books anymore, but he shows up in a Scandinavian magazine doing Tarzan.
Huh.
So those might be strip reprints.
Uh-huh.
So he may have quit comics to go work on the Tarzan strip. I'll have to check if he did do the Tarzan strip, but I don't know if he did, but I wouldn't be surprised if he had. And then he appears at DC, inking mostly on romance comics. This is 61. Yeah, lots of stuff here.
He was around for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Working
There's
over
so
Warner
much
Rock.
out there we don't know about, and we know
Yeah.
about a lot.
Ooh, he appears in Boris Karloff Tales of Mystery in issue number 19. Nice.
What year was that?
1963. 68, actually. 1968.
68.
That
Yeah.
goalkeeper. No.
25 years.
Yeah. Inking Gil Kane in an issue of Hawk and Dove.
Oh,
Ripley's Believe It or Not. Man.
So we probably seen his artwork,
yeah.
but never realized who he was.
Yeah. Because these guys were not, these stories were not credited. So unless he was signing it.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. Even in 1970, I bet the DC Romance comics didn't have any credits. He's doing Secret Hearts, Young Romance, and Ripley's Believe It or Not, and Boris Karloff, all roughly at the same time.
Huh.
Although I guess they didn't bother with a permanent artist. But he's doing short stories, so it's not like he's doing the whole issue. 1971, 72. Maybe some of these are reprints. Could they be? Let me check. No, they're new stories. 72, 72. More Tarzan.
Donald Rex said John Solardo drew Tarzan and lots of romance comics. So
Yeah.
there's the Tarzan.
Yep.
Was the Tarzan a strip or a comic?
Yeah. Well, he appears in the. He appears in the Scandinavian magazines before he does the Western publishing ones. But a lot of these some art that's repurposed from the strip, so maybe he was doing the strip as well. They would have to check. Okay, still lots of. Yeah, in 73 is appearing in foreign reprints. So these are Norwegian. Still Boris Karloff. More foreign Tarzan. More Boris Karloff. Mystery Comics Digest. It's probably reprints. Ripley's Believe It or Not. Okay, let me. By 79, by 75, this is probably reprints. No.
I'm
Or
trying
not.
to remember if I ever had an issue of Ripley's Believe It or Not. Someone
about
may
you?
have given me one at one time.
What about Boris Karloff or UFO flying saucers?
If I had Boris Karloff, I remember those would have been like every now and then when you were a kid in 70s, early 80s, whenever someone would say, "Oh, you like comics? Here's a couple of comics." And it would be like stuff you'd never heard of. Like I may have gotten a Ripley's and a Boris Karloff that way.
Okay. They didn't link it yet, so I hadn't seen this until I didn't see this first. But remember that Hell Rider comic that Skywald published. Solardo did one of the backup strips.
Huh.
The Butterfly. Man.
30 years.
Okay, here's some inks over Don Newton on Aquaman in 1977.
Wow.
Batman over Don Heck in Batman Family.
What issue of Aquaman did he ink over Don Newton?
Number 60.
Do I have any Aquaman, I wonder? I don't
Challenge
think.
Challengers of the Unknown over Keith Giffen. Claudian Conquered over Keith Giffen.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's still appearing as. Okay, so starting in 1940, he's still appearing in new stories in 1978. Yeah, these. Yeah.
The only Aquaman issue I have is number 37.
I found online was a obituary written by Mark Evanier back in January 7th, 2012.
Ah.
And he retired from comic books in 1981, and he returned to the strip world, where he took over Buzz Sawyer newspaper comic strip. And then he retired after the strip ended in 1989.
Oh, wow.
And then he passed away in near his home. He was in a nursing facility near his home of Staten Island, and he was 93 when he passed away.
Wow.
He passed away in 2012.
Wow.
Yeah. And the artwork they show, it actually shows his signature a whole lot better than that cover did. Because the cover looks like it says C-AR, whereas actually it's a C and then the E is broken. So it's the lines to the E, but not the back of it, and then the rest of the word. So it's a more clear signature. But the main artwork looks like it's from a Tarzan strip.
Garage Geek is here. Hey, man. He also David does live streams whenever he can, but sometimes several times a week, and he will do live streams not only about comics but also about books and music music records. So do subscribe to his channel.
Yeah, I bet Mark Evanier, what's his name, John Solardo was one of the, because Mark Evanier used to host a lot of Golden Age panels at San Diego. So I bet he knows him from his panels.
No, actually. Well, it says, I've never met.
Oh, okay. So
I never met him, but I admired his work. From all reports, he was a solid
must know him because he used to host. He's like, I don't anymore because everybody died.
Yes.
Man, just so you understand how long this guy was in comics. So somebody who worked for the Eisner and Iger shop, inked Mark Silvestri and Mark Teixeira.
Wow, that is. So, I still find it amazing when I think of George Russos, who I worked with at Marvel.
Yeah,
who went all the way back to the earliest Batmans.
Yeah,
and I didn't even know it at the time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like it's a shame that we didn't have to be able to just sit down and have him talk about his career with us, because we never thought about it. It was just
he wasn't interested in that either. He wasn't interested in talking comics most of the time.
Right. Well, he wants to talk baseball.
Okay, here's an interesting one. There's a John Solardo penciled story in Flaming Carrot number 16.
Hold on, I have to go over and look at my Flaming Carrot.
Oh, no, I was going to have a Flaming Carrot story with John Solardo.
21. Where's 16? 18. 17. 16.
16. We found it.
Flaming Carrot Comics number 16.
That's right. The character, the Power Man versus the Termite Man.
Let's see. John Solardo and Herm Boldstein.
We have it. There it is.
There it is. Wow.
Look at
Yeah,
that.
It's
Nice.
so golden agey.
Yeah, it's gold. It looks like Golden Age proportions. Is it a reprint?
No, it can't be. Zerman Bolstein. Huh.
Power Man will be back in the next issue with a thrilling story.
Maybe it is a reprint. I mean, or at least something they had left over, because Herman Bolstein was born in 1914, and he worked at the Eisner and Dagger shop as well.
Huh. Wow.
So
Look at that. I got a story from him.
Yes, it's reprinted from Fight Comics number 8.
There we go.
So it was probably in the public domain.
Yeah. And it would be just like, Flaming Carrot Comics to reprint it. So
Right.
look at that.
The things we uncover only on this channel.
Right.
In my collection. Never heard of the guy before, but I got a comic by him in my collection. John
There you go.
Solardo.
You got to find his Tarzan books. Maybe he drew nose hairs in that.
No.
Nice.
No, here's the thing. Tarzan lived in the jungle and was always immaculately.
Might be time to change that bag.
Look at that nice 1980s bag on my Flaming Carrot comic.
Yeah, the 1940s art looks better than the 1980s bag.
Yeah. I have to I have to put some new bags on my Flaming Carrot comics. Oh, I forgot to get bags at the comic shop this week.
Yeah, okay. You should look up the Ripley's Believe It or Not. See if you can find any with Solardo art.
Let me see if let me check my database, see if I even have any Ripley's Believe It or Not. If I do, it's probably buried somewhere.
Or a Boris Karloff.
Ah.
So he was doing a lot of the stuff that he was doing at the time was Ripley's, Boris Karloff, and UFO. Out of those, Gold Key Western.
Ripley's Believe It or Not. Let's try Boris, the Stegosaurus. BL. No Boris Karloff either. Oh well. Flaming Carrot, of course, is right up my alley. That's definitely something I'll have.
Yep.
All of those have beautiful covers, yeah.
I have a lot of those late Captain Easy strips somewhere. I'll have to look at them again.
I think I have the first 2 volumes of Captain Easy. I don't think those are late.
Yeah. Right, said earlier that those Gold Key comics were last choice, almost barely a comic that you'd get as a gift, or when there was no Marvel or DC at 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the thing. I go through the Russian scan sites, and you go look at the Gold Key comics. Those covers are amazing, and then the inside, unless it's drawn by Russ Manning, there's no. It's just there. It's nothing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, let me show you. I Was a Fashion School Serial Killer wrapped up. There's our Fashion School Serial Killer. And as we found out last issue, her friend she's a serial killer. She finally made a friend at Fashion School this miniseries. And turns out some in the administration were trafficking some of the students, especially the students who couldn't pay tuition. So she went to rescue her friends from the traffickers, who are like these 6 or 7 gangsters in a warehouse somewhere. And she's like, let my friend go. And they're like, no, we're going to kill you too. And she's like, I'm a serial killer. And then she proceeds to kill them all and rescue her friend. But Another fun issue by Wagner, Hilliard, Madsen, and Dukeshire. These are the ones that they. Plastic was by them. Plush was by them. Get the other one that was by, but it's always like this group of killers up against that group of killers. But this time we got sometimes it's a single serial killer too. But this one, and there's not even any hint of realism because she must have killed 20 people in these 5 issues. She usually kills them in her apartment building and bathes in their blood. But it's like, what does she do with the bodies? Nah. We don't have to worry about any of that.
Don't worry about it. It's all Puppet Master's magic click.
Yes, exactly. How does she kill these 6 guys with guns? She cuts off most of their heads. How? Yeah, she just appears where they don't think she is. Then she cuts off their heads.
But now I want to see more Solardo. There's a bunch of these names that I keep seeing in the Golden Age and 1950s comics.
Right.
John Solardo, Ruben Moreira. That I don't know. That sometimes I hear that they were producing a lot of work and everybody liked and they're well liked. I'm not sure. I'm not going to say that everybody liked them because they didn't. People at the time didn't know, but they're well liked when they're identified. But then they're not famous, and I don't know, and I haven't actually seen anything by them. So I have to go into the Russian pirate sites. Okay, let's find some 1950s comics.
Listen, Planet Comics is famous, so it's amazing that I don't know who did the covers in those. So it's like,
yeah, there's a bunch of Blue Eisners in there. Mm-hmm.
Planet Comics. What are you working on tonight, Chris?
I'm kind of sorting through artwork that hasn't been put in my website store yet. Stuff that didn't sell at the conventions.
Little housekeeping.
Yeah.
Did that Fantastic Four #1 cover sell with all the ropes?
Yeah. That one actually sold before I could take it to any conventions.
All right.
Yeah.
I liked that one. You were right. It did amuse me.
Yeah. I knew it would.
I can't do anything with these ropes around me.
Keep him out of action. That's the key phrase. It'll take more than ropes to keep Mr. Fantastic out of action. The rest of them are all like, man, he's completely out of action. Look at him.
Sell that one as a print. It'll amuse a lot more people.
Nope. I think I've reached everyone that it's going to amuse.
Put it on a t-shirt.
Yeah. Great ideas that always work.
Yes. I'd buy that t-shirt 100%.
So what were you doing at the convention last weekend?
Just the usual. Sit at your table and do commission sketches and what else did I have? I had my action figure combo packs.
Oh, that's right.
That Wilson is going to be stealing.
Any unusual requests?
Nothing that stands out right away. It's just the game has changed. Like this, everybody wants remarks.
Yeah.
And which I guess that's been going on for a while. I just never had covers that would make that appropriate. But now with all the Marvel variant covers out there, everybody wants signatures and remarks.
So for those who don't know, a remark is
Oh, I thought, you know what? I thought you were just going to continue on with explaining
Nah,
it yourself.
you could tell it.
It's just like you draw a mini sketch on the cover itself. So, as an example, I have this handy. This is one of the covers. Here we go. That Cyclops right there is drawn.
Okay. He blended in so well. I didn't realize it was a remark.
It's like he's not. There is not a floating Cyclops head on the original.
And you see that? That's a signature.
Yes.
We're having a signature conversation.
We're having a signature conversation because I bought a. Like I said, I'm not a signature person, but I bought this first. I wanted a first print of World Tree, the David Aha cover, and it comes with a James Tinian autograph. I put that in quotes. He just initialed that. That's not a signature. That's not an autograph. That's initial here, initial there, initial there. I just, not that I dislike it. I like that. I don't, because I think it blends in nicely with the cover.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can get away with that when.
But to me, that's not a signature.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a fan base that recognizes what that is, then
Adam
that's
Hughes.
fine. Yeah, the AH exclamation point, and that those little marks there, they look pretty cool. But yeah,
they look good on that cover.
I would have no idea.
Visually, they look cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just have trouble calling it an autograph. I have no problem with it. Like I said, I'm not an autograph collector anyway, but if I'm like paying $50 for a signature, I want a Jim Steranko or a Chris Giarrusso fancy signature.
Walt Simonson, undefeated.
He's got the dinosaur in his hand.
Yep, that's the best one.
It's always the same dinosaur. He always does the Brontosaurus.
Well, once you create a really good one,
you can see a variety.
Damien's here. Hi.
Hello. Chris, are you keeping track on what you're requested to draw more often? Is there like a character that's become like your signature character?
I've never kept track of that stuff, but it's still probably Spider-Man.
Okay.
Yeah.
It feels like Spider-Man.
Yeah,
Why
I think
wouldn't it be?
most of the original art that I have from Chris are Spider-Man images.
I didn't know you had any.
Oh, I have quite a few. I still have some of them that you drew for me at Marvel, of just like on backer board.
I've got my Wilson plate drawing here somewhere. When Wilson was creating plate art one day in the bullpen. I think I showed it here like a couple of years ago, but you might not remember.
I think we all were doing it. I don't think it was
just
just me,
but all of a sudden it was like everybody was taking a break going, plate art. On paper plates. They're like dessert size ones too. So.
Yes. I don't remember why we did it, but
it was just something we did. Something led to something, led to something, led to drawing on plates.
Yeah, I have at least, I think, 3 Chris Giarrusso Spider-Mans. One that I got from him at a convention, which 8.5 by 11 paper. One in one of my sketchbooks. Pretty sure I have one from a sketch in my sketchbook, and then one that's on a backer board that he did a quick Spider-Man, I think with Sharpie, and he colored it in, that I used to have hanging up in the art room.
Yeah, I don't know if I have any Chris Giarrusso originals. I'm gonna buy one of those sketch cards one of these days.
I feel like you should own the original Bullpen Circus, where
all my Bullpen Circuses are copies. I have copies of all.
Go take your bus. Go catch your bus.
Yep, they're all posted on Facebook. Bullpen Circus. That's a strip Chris used to draw. Draw the strip. It's a cartoon making fun of. Not really making.
There's no way to explain
the style of the Family Circus.
Yes, it's style, not actually the circus.
But the idea was they were all mundane things that happened.
Yeah, you and Bunch, I think, would always like just get a laugh out of how unfunny the Family Circus.
It wasn't me. I was
Trailers
it was Bunch and other. I always defend the Family Circus because it was one of my favorites as a kid. But yes, I know what you mean. People were always defending. Bunch especially was always going on about how unfunny the Family Circus was.
So I just draw a circle and then just like an overheard line somebody says in the bullpen.
Yep.
And then draw it. Stylistically, I was nowhere near looking like a Family Circus.
No, they were just quick drawings because they were done during the workday in a couple of minutes. And you had the one, what was that, when you, Wayne, and Thomas went to Great Adventure?
Yeah, there's probably a few from
that. There was like every I think that you might have gone 3 years in a row.
Maybe.
So every year you would draw one. It would be the same cartoon. That was a great time or something.
I think 1 year Wayne dressed up like in a costume, like a creepy, so I drew that.
Right.
Instead of
Chris Girusso comics. Always fun.
Yeah, obviously you were riffing on the Family Circus. Had they invented Garfield minus Garfield when you were doing the?
No.
That was later, and I was like, oh my god, that's awesome. That's such a great idea. And then Jim Davis just like paid the guy. He's like, you know what, this is great.
Yeah, he published the book.
Yeah, we're gonna publish it. Here's some money.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Existential dread of John.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the guys at Fortune tried to do a few strips with Garfield minus John, and they were not funny because it was Garfield. Because it was Garfield talking to himself.
People are always doing Family Circus riffs, but it's usually making something dirty in the Family Circus format. Mm-hmm. That's like standard making fun of the Family Circus.
I've never seen that. I see it's usually somebody does like somebody walking around a neighborhood like.
Oh no, I've seen. Well, it's usually not professionally done. It's usually like on the internet, you know.
If you want to do something dirty, you should do it with Blondie and Dagwood, for obvious reasons.
And it was the first time I saw the Family Circus being made fun of by was a line we used to quote all the time from 8 Ball. Dan Clowes did it way back in the 80s. So. But he just had one. We had the two kids talking, and the line was, Daddy said I should have been abortion, and then he passed out. And that was like... And he had a whole bunch of... Oh, that was the one where he also had a drawing of... It's like disturbing things. And he had a drawing of Lucy from Peanuts with breasts. Just like, that is disturbing. You're right.
Yeah.
Early Daniel Clowes. Huh. Let's see, what else did I get this week? Here was a good one. Joseph Schmalke's We Don't Kill Spiders. And it's his own, he's got his own publishing company now, Midnight Factory, #1. Once again, nice cardstock cover. I like that. And he's good at horror. It's just a scary story about these Vikings living in Viking times, and I don't quite know what's going on with the whole plot, but there was a cannibal in it, and he almost killed some people, and he was eating people, and scary things happen, and a scary witch shows up at the end. But I got to say, I've been enjoying Joseph Schmalke's book since I discovered him a few years ago. Was actually turned on to him by one of the comic shop guys who isn't really a indie guy at all. He's mostly a mainstream guy, but Joseph Schmalke was doing some like toy tie-in things or something that were really good. So I enjoyed that first issue of that. And he's also been doing the one that's about the wizard school. I forget the name of it right now.
Eric P. says, there was a Macbeth featuring the Peanuts crew that ran in my high school newspaper. That was pretty inspired. Lucy with the "Is this a dagger?" line was inspired.
Was this a dagger?
Well, if you want to do Macbeth with the peanuts, you just know that that this is going to be.
What were you doing at the con, Wilson? Were you just visiting, or were you up there?
I was just visiting to check it out.
Okay.
We were considering maybe doing that con next year, and I like it because it's more of a traditional Comic Con than, let's say, the pop culture cons. So I was able to walk around, check out toys, comic books, things that were more of a vein of an old comic con. So I liked it, and it was fun. It was a nice area, and so we're going to look into doing that con next year.
How long a drive was it from where you are?
I want to say it took 2 hours to get up there,
Okay.
something like that.
It's in Connecticut, right?
Yes.
But not a close part of Connecticut. It takes a little while to get there.
It does take a little while. Like the halfway point is like where I'm used to being at. I think
When you say you're
Trumbo
going
is a good
to
halfway point.
Connecticut,
Yeah. Like
is
this
there
is
a
higher
train up
Connecticut.
there?
I think there are trains that definitely go up there, but my buddy Eric is the one who drove us, and if we do that show next year, we would stay in a hotel in the area, and then do that drive, stay in a hotel, and then do the con for the weekend. Or
Okay.
I think it's a 4-day con or a 3-day con, I forget.
How many days were you there, Chris?
3.
3.
Any more cons this con season, Chris?
I got the Greensboro Comic Con,
That's a local one, right?
which is a local one here. It's a 1-day show. Let me take a look. That's September 20th.
Okay.
I'm going to go to Baltimore Comic Con. That's another big one. October 17th to the 19th. That's the weekend after New York Comic Con.
Okay. You doing New York Comic Con?
Nope.
Nope. Neither am I. I don't think I'll be able to go there. I don't have a ticket. Wilson, you'll go. You're going, right? But
Yes, I have a ticket.
You going to walk around, or?
I'm going to walk around. Is what I usually do at that show. I don't display at that show. I just mainly just walk around and talk to people, network, that type of thing. It used to be 90% of my work would come out of the New York Comic Con. And it's more of just reacquainting with editors that I only ever talk to online. So again, and to meet up with people and then talk to other creators, and sometimes we'll talk to small press guys who are usually always looking for a letterer or a logo designer.
Right.
I do a lot of logo designs for small press guys, and then it's the, hey, I'm going to that con type of thing. And I run into people, so many people that I haven't seen in years who may just be flying in for that con.
How much do you charge for a logo design for a small press guy?
I usually start at about 300 for small press. Something fairly simple on there, and then goes up for how intricate they have. Because sometimes people have no idea. Right, exactly. Sometimes it's just, I'll have maybe 3, at the most 4 designs. And the one that I like the best is the one that's a little bigger and is in color. And the other ones are, here are the other options. Most of the time, people have a general idea of what they want. And
I want a claw in the logo. I want the logo to have a claw.
Yep, and that's fairly simple because it's the word, the claw at the end. Everything gets outlined. Very 90s, but it can be done.
A dagger. I want a dagger. Cross that T with a dagger.
I've done it with a sword, where I had what was the name of it? Because it's something that I looked at fairly recently. See, I have my logos folder.
And that was the con at the casino, right? Sleepy's asking.
Yes, at Mohegan Sun, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mohegan Sun. I've always meant to check that one out, but then I look and it's just a little too far away for a casual drive.
Yeah, it's not a casual drive. That's a trip that you should have somebody with you.
Yeah. And you're like, hey, want to go? All right.
And it was fun, and I was able to walk out of there with a lot less toys because I could have gotten so many at the time where it's like, ooh, you are paying con prices, but there were some people selling like older toys in like that box of like $5 toys. Because you got to go through it, and I wasn't really ready for that. So it's like, oh, okay. And I didn't budget for that either. So I did walk out with a few toys, but again, it's like, ooh, the damage it could have done.
Yeah. Not Chris. He doesn't like toys.
No, he's repackaging these toys and getting rid of them.
Yeah, where do you get it? Do you have one of your repackaged toys here you could show us?
Sure. How much time do we have? Yeah.
I've seen these on your website and they look pretty cool.
When I move them, they're kind of, I flatten them out. I'll show you what I mean. So they're not in display mode at the moment.
Display mode. Comics in disguise.
Okay, so here's Batman sketch cover, but you can see that this here is flat.
Oh, okay.
Flattened out. So
right.
You just kind of fold it out. It's got tabs and flaps or whatever.
Toy in there.
Yeah, so you just
Now, where did you get those cases?
Just ordered them. I can't remember if I got them from Amazon or eBay, but they pop up if you look for action figure display box.
Okay.
I mean, I think more people
want.
want
Made to go with comic books too?
No.
Or do you like glue that on to a bag?
It's attached with double-sided clear tape.
Okay.
So I just tape it to the top loader for the comic, which is designed for comics.
Yes.
And then let's see, where is he? My infrared Batman.
Okay.
All right. Slide them on in there. Let the cape fall in there, and there you go.
Look at that. And how much do you sell that for at the con?
$100.
All right. So you get a piece of original art. You get to display it with the toy. Very nice.
Trying to find an angle where it's not reflecting.
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
The drawing looks just like the guy in the toy.
Exactly. Now you're getting it.
Yep.
How many of those have you made, do you think?
I think I made about 16.
Okay.
And
do they sell well at the con, or it takes a while?
Yeah, I sold 5 at Heroes on day 1.
Oh, that's good.
I sold 3 in Nebraska and 4 or 5 in Connecticut.
All right.
So
all infrared Batman.
Everybody loves infrared Batman.
Red Batman.
Yeah, you start thinking of the second limited edition.
By the way, Chris, when I was talking about cleaners for the figures.
Yeah.
These are the type of wipes I was talking about. They're disinfective wipes. Radiance happens to be this particular brand that you could get at like a BJ's or a Costco's type of thing. And I mainly, when I get new figures in that I get from eBay, I use these to wipe off the figure. I made a mistake when I was talking to you about the. It can be used to wipe the plastic on the
On the boxes.
on that box, but I don't think it'll take the scuffs off the box itself. It takes the scuffs off action figures because sometimes the action figure will have paint rub off from another action figure. And I found these have been good to at least rub off the action figures themselves.
Chris prefers infectant wipes. That way he gets to spread some germs around when he.
Exactly. With the secret ingredient, Smilex.
There you go.
The secret ingredient is botulism.
Yep.
Those are. Did you think those up yourself, or did you see someone else do them?
I thought it up myself.
All right.
So you see anyone else doing them? They stole it from me.
All right. Yeah, you stole that from G. Russo's.
Well, that's what everyone knows me by.
Just Julio. One of my favorite nicknames for Chris. Infinity. In case I've never told that, we have a friend who used to work with at the bullpen, Julio, who started calling Chris Gigi. And he explained it to me that since his name is Chris Girusso, but his friends call him G, that means he's G. Russo, which Gigi. And I looked at him and went, you just created an infinite loop of G's, don't you? And he looked at me like I was the crazy one.
Just because the explanation is right, it does not mean you're not crazy.
Yep. So every now and then I call him G. Russo. And I have to add the extra S on because Julio used to do that too because of George Russo's. Mm-hmm. They used to pronounce G Russo like G Russos. I don't know why.
He is. If you've ever seen Key and Peele.
Yeah.
Yep. When it's the two doormen in front of the hotel talking about movies and actors.
Yeah.
That's Julio and Thomas. They, especially more Julio, and that they no matter what the actor's name is, they will pluralize the last name. If it's not if it doesn't end in an S. I think if it does end in an S, they'll singularize it. Like they'll take the S off of it.
Tom Cruise's.
Like it's racist Melly Gibson's. And when I see that, because they both like, you know what though, for real, racist Melly Gibson's is still my jam. Like they both still like him, even though they're calling him like enthusiastically calling him racist Melly Gibson's. And it makes me wonder if in Mel Gibson's actual life, if he ever encounters people yelling to him like, "Hey, racist Melly Gibson's!" But like in a happy way, like they're happy to see him and they call him that. Like, I just wonder if he's going through that experience. I would like to think that he does every day, but.
What was SBPT's nickname there?
Because you sound like a John Wick character. Gigi Russo.
Gigi Russo, if I were you.
Of course, I prefer my version.
G.
Jonah
G. Jonah G. Russo. He wants pictures of Spider-Man.
No, but you're the one who draws pictures of Spider-Man.
Yes.
You go around the con saying, "Who wants pictures of Spider-Man?"
Who wants pictures of Spider-Man? Here you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Let's see. Last two comics I got for the week: Power Fantasy and Rogue Sun. Power Fantasy is the one. Power Fantasy is the one about superheroes trying not to fight. This is the end of the second trade. Kieran Gillen and Casper Wingard, really good, thinky type superhero comic. And Rogue Sun is your basic punch 'em up superhero comic. Both were good. Rogue Sun is up to 29. Power Fantasy is already up to, what is this, 11? How is 11 the end of the second trade? The 5 and 6 issues? That seems weird. But there was a big power move made in this issue that may not have worked. May not. And Power Fantasy is the story Kieran Gillen came up with when he was writing that X-Men stuff that he couldn't really do with the X-Men. So now he's doing it with his own stuff. Because it's kind of a story about superhero. It's in the world of mutants, they have Omega level mutants, right? Who are the most, Magneto is a Omega, Professor X, and also Omega level. And they have other ones who are Omega levels. I don't really know. I don't read the X-Men that closely.
Storm is Omega.
She's Omega now? Okay.
Yes.
Because she used to have to work within the weather systems. But that's power creep. They just keep.
Yeah. Well, you remember that in the early years of the X-Men, they always tried to make sure they explained how the powers work.
And there was limitations.
Yeah.
They explained the limitations.
After 150, Claremont stopped doing that.
I just specifically remember Storm saying, "I'm not Thor. I just can't override weather systems. I have to work with what's in the area." Mm-hmm. That's gone out the window.
She's past that. She's basically a god, lowercase g. But anyway, maybe not Thor, but just right underneath.
This is the story about, let's say, I think there's 6 or 8 Omega level superheroes. Mm-hmm. And if they fight, like millions of people die because they're that powerful. So the whole thing is them trying not to fight. And that, like I said, in this universe, it takes place in 1999 too, for some reason. I don't know why. But there was an incident in 1989 where, and it's not just superheroes. There's one woman who's an angel. They're like, she's an angel. All right, where'd she come from? And she's not quite sure where either, but she's super powerful. And then there's a character who is somewhat demonic, or at least her powers come from some hell thing somewhere. So it's like they're not all straight superheroes. And there was one woman who was the last remnants of a whole civilization from somewhere out in space, and she came to the Earth and is super powerful. And at first she was peaceful and wanted to bring priests to the Earth, but then of course things happen, and they ended up having to fight her, and Europe is gone. So Europe just got blown into space. So that's what happens if these guys fight. Millions and millions of people die. Matter of fact, I think it was like last issue, they had a key to how many millions of people would die if this guy fought. So they're trying not to fight. But things happen. Not that millions of people died, but something happened in this issue that might lead to a fight because they tried to. Well, in the very first issue, the United States government tried to assassinate this one guy called the Heavy. And they didn't. It didn't work. He lived through it. So then he always said, if someone tries to assassinate me, I'm going to obliterate Texas. So he was all set to obliterate Texas. But the one guy who's he's got psychic powers guy. He's the one guy who's been trying to keep the peace since the 60s. It's like, all right, how can I talk you down? You don't want to obliterate Texas. That'll solve nothing. So he's like, okay. And since this guy, he can psychically kill people, he's like, all right, I want you to kill the president of the United States, everyone who is involved with this decision, and all of their families. So that's what this guy had to do. In order to keep Texas there, he had to kill about 300 or 400 people for the Heavy, because he could do it with precision. The Heavy would just obliterate Texas. I don't even know why he picked Texas. But so that's what this whole thing has been, them trying to hold things together. But there's all different factions. And none of them are supervillains. And, they try to do the right thing, but there's just too much conflict between them. So it's a really good comic, but it's sort of a heady superhero story. It's not for you. It's not your normal beat 'em up superhero story.
Right.
But it's real interesting. I generally find a lot of Kieran Gillen's writing interesting. And Caspar Wingard, I've been buying his work too. So two came together, and they, like I said, they're the ones who did that great. What I really liked, Watchmen. They did Peter Thunderbolt. Was it?
Was it them?
Was it him or was it the other guy?
I don't know.
I don't remember. Whichever one it was a commentary on the one. No, who's the guy? Who's Ozymandias?
That's
Thunderbolt.
What?
Was that Peter Thunderbolt? So
Yeah.
it was Peter. Thunderbolt might be the name of the series then, or something like that.
Oh, okay.
But that was, they did that one, which is it's the best commentary on Watchmen I have ever read. So it's good stuff. It's the best sequel to Watchmen, let's say, even though it's only kind of a sequel.
So this one now is a bit more like his take on Miracle Man.
No, this one is his take. He was writing one of the, like, from 2 or 3 years ago, one of the big X-Men series.
Right.
I forget which one. I don't know. But he was dealing with the Omega level mutants in that X-Men series. And that's what gave him the idea for this, because he really couldn't do this stuff. He was doing something different with those X-Men. And he really couldn't do this in the X-Men. So he's doing it on his own.
Yeah.
But it's really interesting. It's definitely worth a read if you like thinky superhero stuff.
Well, that would be where the idea for Miracle Man comes from, because
Miracle Man's a thinky superhero piece too.
Yeah. Also reminds me a bit of Exalted, the RPG, the superhero RPG, because all of the superheroes, they can expend their powers gravimetrically. Yeah. The more power they are able, the better they are able to control their powers, the more powerful they become.
He also did Uber with what's his name, David Gehe. Is that how Carl told me to pronounce it? But that was the World War II superhero one. Uh-oh. Chris is getting too wild there. He's losing his headphones.
Okay. I wonder if Daily Bugle had a comic strip, what would be the title?
Now, would it be about the Daily Bugle, or would it be just a comic strip in the Daily Bugle?
I bet Jameson doesn't want to pay royalties for the comics.
Ah. I wonder how much it would cost to do a custom Marvel, like, those custom Marvel covers that, like, comic shops or whoever do.
Mm-hmm.
Wonder how much that would cost. Like, if you wanted your local comic shop to have a custom Chris Geruso cover, not what it would cost to pay Chris, what it would cost to pay Marvel. Because like some of these guys, like I think Adam Hughes and guys like that, sell them on their own website. Even. So they have their own special version. Something like 10 grand, do you think?
I don't know. I mean, I know guys that have the answers to that, but and we've talked about it openly, and I couldn't for the life of my life,
Remember?
tell you what the number is.
More than you could afford. That's all you remember.
Mm-hmm.
No, they've done them.
No, you. I mean.
Oh, you mean for me? Oh, yeah. Well,
but I think it can't be that.
Now
much.
we're in prints and T-shirts territory. But I think there's also probably if you're going to do them on your own, I think that there's likely some kind of the bar is set in terms of the amount of respect you command in the industry. So the undeniable superstars like Scotty Young and Adam Hughes, J. Right. Scott Campbell.
And Marvel will be happy to sell an extra 3,000 copies or whatever it was.
They might not. Like they might say, like, no, that like you're not good enough, and that cheapens this whole thing. You know what I mean?
Not just anyone can do it.
Yeah. Although they did just give me like 23 variant covers this year, so maybe my status is elevated.
Could be. You never know.
Yeah.
At least your status is elevated among a couple of editors and decision makers.
Looking at the Google AI says it's about can go depending on the type of comic, can go anywhere between $100 and $1,500.
That's it? I would think it would be much more than that.
Mm-hmm.
I know it used to cost about $1,000 if you wanted Spider-Man to appear at any event. And I always was wondering, oh, that'd be cool. Let's hire Spider-Man to give out our comic books at our con. They'll shut that down the next time, but you at least have him for at least one con.
But if it costs if it costs $10,000, I'm not even sure you could do a store exclusive.
But they sell them for a fair bit. Someone like Adam Hughes sells them for like $20.
They're not selling them for cover price.
Yeah.
Right. But okay, but if you print 25, and you can't sell them for less than 500.
I have to figure they print hundreds, if not thousands. Like if I was Adam Hughes, I would print 1,000 to 3,000 easy. Eric P. has a question for Chris.
Yes. Have you had people come up to you at cons because of those recent covers?
Yeah, it's like the only thing I do really at the show now. It's just a constant stream of people with like all of those or the Venom covers. It's a whole different culture now.
I guess there are people who. Yeah, people discovering you. Yeah, people who don't remember Mini Marvels or G-Man. Some of them will be new.
I don't know. Maybe some of the. I don't know. It's possible that some of them have no idea that I ever drew stuff before.
I just have to figure a lot of new people have discovered you through those covers.
Hard to say.
There's probably plenty of people who knew you before, but also with that many covers, some people had to notice. New people had to notice.
I mean, I was kind of like experiencing, adults coming up to me like, "Oh, I used to read these when I was a kid." And I'm like, "You're a grown man." And I'm like, "Oh no."
I'm old.
What's happened?
Okay. Next week, can we do the full Read, Rip, and Slap show?
Sure, we can try that out.
Yeah, let's see if we can make it.
We'll be on my channel next week.
Yeah. And
we'll do as many reed ripping slabs as we feel like.
Mm-hmm. Probably as I stand.
I'll make some extra 1970s ones.
Mm-hmm.
And some balloons for this week. And of course, some lasers.
Wow.
Little rain.
Oh my God.
They changed the rain. The rain used to take up the whole screen.
Yeah, it did. It changed the rain. Where's the confetti? Or is that double thumbs?
And you said this is Max do this?
Yeah, it's built into the OS whenever you're on. You have to make sure you turn it on too. There's are you on a computer?
I'm on an iPad.
On an iPad. You have to make sure you turn on reactions.
Is that on the platform or is it somewhere?
Yeah, it's on the platform. So just go into the system and check for reactions and make sure it's on. You can, like on a computer, you can turn it on right through the camera icon. SPPT says, I saw some kids yesterday buying some comics because of your covers. They didn't care for the interior, they just wanted the complete set. There you go.
There you go.
Yes.
Tit Goblin, your name in those recent covers blew up here locally, Chris. All right.
Yes. That's
so you're becoming an international superstar in Canada and Europe.
Good to hear. Thank you.
Well, one for each of your birthdays. I'm gonna have to. You're gonna have to tell me what your birthdays are, so I'll make one for each of our birthdays. Are they? Reed, Riff, and Slab. Thank you for that rain, Jared. No problem. We get those crops growing.
Yeah, and let's see if we can get rid of the forest fires.
Yeah.
I have like 5 forest fires currently active, and one of them is menacing what would be, in American terms, 8 different counties.
Where is this?
Portugal.
Well, I think you're wrong about that. You see, we have it on good authority here that countries in Europe. Is Portugal even in Europe? I don't know where Portugal is. Oh my God!
Yes, it's in Europe.
But
you just did the most American. You just did the most American thing ever.
Yep.
No, I didn't. I admitted. No, I did not. I did the opposite. I admitted I didn't know something. But we have it on.
Did he freeze in the middle of the joke?
Yes, he froze in the middle of a joke.
Oh man,
that's fantastic.
Chris,
you froze in the middle of the joke.
Oh, I did.
We have it. We have it on good, and then you froze.
Good authority. We've been told time and again that in Europe they have similar forest area, but never fires because they take care of their forest. They rake the forests.
No. We have laws that mandate that you rake the forest. Private owners do that, otherwise they get fined. Then over 70% of the area is actually, the forest area is actually controlled by the government, and the government doesn't rake. they don't rake the government controlled area because they can't find it themselves.
Well, all I can tell you is that people here in high positions of power would disagree with what you just said.
Also, we have
you never have fires. Whatever the fires are that are happening there now, they're not really happening.
And our fires are happening in Canada,
Yeah.
and every now and then the wind shifts and we get orange skies.
I haven't heard anyone mention the Canada fire in a few days, so it must be getting better.
I hope so. I think it was the last week or the week before we were still getting like air warnings on our weather apps. You know, how good is the air today?
Well, that's your weather report for the evening.
Yes. Oh, we need to convince our con organizers in Portugal to bring you here, but we have to publish something. We have to either we publish something of yours, or we have to do an art exhibit dedicated to you.
All right.
For who? For me?
For
For
you.
you, yeah.
Yeah,
I think
even if
you'd do
nobody's heard of
great
you,
in an
if
art
we
exhibit.
even if nobody's heard of you, we do an art exhibit, and people will want to buy something.
You got
See,
16?
if you come to Europe, you become a real artist.
You know, this sounds suspiciously similar to the type of advice that accompanies make a print of that and do a T-shirt of that.
All right.
Go to Europe. You'll be a hit.
Yeah.
You will.
Yeah, just go.
Just go to Europe.
Well,
Just go.
No, usually con organizers in Europe, if they bring something from the US, they pay for the whole trip, the hotel, the meals. But you have to ship about a ton of artwork so that we can do an exhibit.
Mm-hmm. He can just tuck it under his arm and bring it with him.
Yeah, man, I don't really know that I have a lot of art. I guess I do. Old stuff. I'd be embarrassed to show people.
Perfect. Europe loves that. They love to laugh at American art.
No. If we were to do an art exhibit with your stuff, you would have your own hall that'll take about 4 or 5 minutes to look at all the art.
Okay. I mean, I appreciate you saying that. It's very sweet, but understand I don't believe that word you're saying.
All right. On that note.
Okay. All right. So next week on Jared's channel, and we will have a lot of reading, ripping, and slabbing.
Read, rip, and slab extravaganza.
I might be back for that.
All right.
There you go.
Fist. Virtual
Everyone
fist
have a
bump.
good night. We'll catch you next time.
Bye-bye.
Punch it in.
Boom.